reason we did a cover album is because we interrupted in between two tours by this pandemic thing. What a pain in the ass. And I didn't want to stop working. You know, once you get to a certain, you know, level there, you don't want to stop touring. I was like, we got to do something or we're going to go crazy. But I didn't have any stuff written. So I just figured, okay, it's time to do a covers record. We'd never done that before. The question was which one, you know, what cover songs to do. I mean, bands break up over fighting over what band. So I decided to do basically a group of obscure songs from around the time of my childhood. Definitely not to do even my favorites, but do songs that would complement each other and come out as a good listening experience and a rather new listening experience for most people. So yeah, you know, I could have done Iron Man by Black Sabbath, but I mean, I wanted to use songs that hardly anybody heard, mostly people living here, that had the same kind of vibe from that early time. And it was a very strange time in music. It was kind of in between pop, the old 60s kind of school pop, garage rock, before metal and even before reggae. It was a time of hard rock and the end of psychedelia. And I had a really, really cool and very brief time where hard rock ruled the earth. And it was weird. I mean, most people think of, you know, the bigger hard rock bands, but there were hundreds of all these strange little groups and strange sounds. Like half of it was old psych, half of it was gonna be metal, you know, proto metal, I guess they call it. And there were these bands around, and I just happened to be at that age, like 11 to 16. So that was my time growing up. If you went past the Yes albums and went past the Jethro Tull albums, you found this little weird ghetto of absolute strangeness. And it was so cool. So that's what I wanted to pick out. I wanted to reflect on this record, just how weird and cool music could be back then, that a lot of people have never heard. You know, it's like, it's the way the musical history goes. People tend to compartmentalize things and go, okay, I got the 70s down. It's Bachman Turner Overdrive, yes, Neil Young, Jethro Tull, Alice Cooper. Okay, it's done. I'm done with the 70s. But no, there was a lot of stuff there that was just absolutely crazy. And that's what I wanted to do on this record. There's other bands I would love to do in the future, but there are other songs and stuff, but they were too obvious for me. Some of those bands are, one of them is Granicus from Cleveland, Ohio. Another band is Sirlo Baltimore from New York. I could go on and on with the stuff. There was a lot of them. Like I say, it didn't last long. By the time the mid 70s rolled in, it was more about Kiss and kind of the beginning of logo rock. You know, what we see now, everyone, but back, what I'm talking about is before logo rock. It was very weird, very disjointed, and you had to search. It wasn't served up to you with concert halls. You had to search around. Most of these bands, I don't think they ever got out of little festivals, maybe. Very freaky and really interesting and well worth the look. Like, if anybody likes this record, it's a freaky record. And you can go down rabbit holes. You know, of course, now you can go down a rabbit hole forever and find this stuff, and it's cool. There's nothing like that time to me. And out of all the scenes that I've been into, because of course I've been a rock fan my whole life, and now I'm all grown up and I've been to every scene, you know, like I started off in the early 70s and I kept going. And I was into punk rock and CBGBs, and then on to new wave, grunge, hair metal, you know, whatever was around, I was seeing it all. This time, the time I'm talking about, was the weirdest, and you had to be you had to have your eyes open all the time and your ears open, or you'd miss things a lot. It wasn't served up. There were a million record companies, and they put out these little records and they disappear. It's almost like before indies, the majors had the lower tier of releases that got no promotion. they'd be on a major, these bands would be on a major, but they wouldn't promote them. So you had to scout out like old record stores, cut out bins, and to get more of the sound. And it was worth it. It took me years of hunting record stores to find all these records, even back then. I think that's the coolest time for me because the whole thing had this weird glow of freakiness about it that was very authentic. There wasn't a rock press or anyone that represented this stuff. You didn't see people on the street that had the same record you did. In fact, a lot of the times I thought I was the only person in the world that ever heard of this band. I mean, literally, I couldn't talk about it to anyone, It's like you over at my friend's house and they're all listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd. And I was like, how about Josephus doing Situation? And they're like, dude, like, what is this crap? They couldn't understand it, which made it even cooler. It was more of a punk rock thing than you'd ever imagine. You'd think it was a hippie thing, but actually it was like a punk rock kind of attitude. It's like, what's the heaviest, weirdest thing you can have to freak your friends out with? I had it all. I'm hoping that if you spin this record, you get kind of a sense of that.